as a business owner, it's super important to build and design a business that you love. If you just follow everybody's advice, you may end up with a business that looks like theirs, but doesn't actually look like a business that you want to turn up to each day. So it's really important to understand what you love doing and what you loathe doing. This means that you can work in your genius zone and outsource the stuff that isn't the best use of your time. So the thing that I do with my coaching clients, when we kick off, we go through this exercise where we discuss what you love and what you loathe, and also in the middle here, the stuff that you do, but you know that you should stop doing. So once we can get clear on this, the decisions that you make with your business become quite simple. If it sits in this love category, and look, to be honest, for a lot of my clients, they love the client delivery. Not always, but for the most part, let's call it client work. They love that. They're experts. They love applying that expertise to their clients. By the same token, many of my clients also love the thought leadership side of things. Thought leader, being a thought leader. That's what energizes them. That's what they love. Now, I'm the same. I like doing the thought leadership stuff. I do also like being in the trenches with my clients. And to be honest, I also like the delivery, like the group presentations or the keynote speaking side of things as well. That's very energizing for me personally. It's not for everybody, but I like it. So once we get clear on that, you can tell when you're writing the right stuff because your eyes light up and you get all excited. And, if I could do this all day, every day, I would be super, super happy. On the other end of the scale, we need to think about what is it that I loathe? What do I never, ever want to do again? And so for a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, that is admin. For a lot of people, there's all sorts of different things because there's so many different personality types, but let's call it admin for now. So we need to think about how can I either eliminate it out of the business, or how can I get technology to take care of it, like AI, or how can I get somebody else, like a virtual assistant or a colleague, to take care of that side of things as well. All right, so we've got the love, we've got the loathe. Then we need to think about, this is probably the most dangerous part in the middle because you are good at it, but you should stop doing it. And for a lot of people, what we want to be thinking about here is, are you the only person that can do it? So with the love side here, generally speaking, this is stuff that only you can do. You bring the expertise to the business, so you do the client work. You're the expert in the business, so you do the thought leadership. However, there's probably things like, for example, maybe writing proposals, if that's the nature of your business. Or maybe it's sales calls. Now, sometimes sales calls people love, that's okay. No worries if you do, but for argument's sake, let's put it here. Now, you might be very good at them, and you might be very good at proposals, but is it the highest and best use of your time? And is there anyone else who can do it as well as you, better than you, or nearly as good as you? And if you can say yes to those questions, almost certainly you're better off you doing that so that you can stay purely in your genius zone. So this is the area that I call the genius zone. We want to be spending as much time up here as we can, and we want to be really avoiding the loathe side. And now for my clients, every 90 days we catch up, and even from the start we understand what is the love, loathe, and should do, and we make sure that we are doing more and more stuff in the genius zone and never any stuff in the red zone and less in the should stop doing zone. When you do this, you actually run a business, you actually design and create a business that you love. Because if you get into the situation where you know that if you do more work, say it's marketing and you get more leads and that's more sales calls and more proposals and more stuff that you don't love doing, it becomes a chore and it becomes a disincentive to actually do it in the first place. Whereas if you know that as you do marketing and the thought leadership, that's great, that might bring in more leads And that's great too, because someone else does the sales calls and someone else does the proposals and someone else does the admin of plugging it all into the CRM. Then that's great. But if the more work you do, the more fun work you do leads to more painful work, you're not as inclined to do it. I remember when this happened to me, I loved recording podcast interviews, but I knew that for every podcast I recorded, I had to spend a couple of hours editing it and chopping out ums and ahs and doing the upload into the podcast platforms. And that wasn't that much fun for me. And so it got to the point where I thought, you know what? If I do another interview, that's 3 or 4 hours more homework of stuff I don't want to do. So you can see how that turns into something that you don't really want to do. So let's design a business that you love. That's the first thing we do when we work together. If that appeals, reach out. Let's have a conversation and see what we can do together.